play today?
I'd like to go against you and see what you are made of.
We have transport.
I feel a presence. Another warrior is on the mesa. I'd like to go against you and see what you are made of. End of line.
We have transport.
Whoa.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glenn's Retro Show. This is basically part 2 of a 2-part series I'm doing on the Arcade1UP TRON. In the first video I gave my thoughts on the machine itself, and you know, I do generally like the machine. I mean, it was packaged very well, it's a beautiful looking cabinet, and of course, as you can see, I do like Tron, the movie, the animated series that they made, and of course, the games itself. And overall they did a really nice job here. However, there have been some people having some issues with their joystick snapping here at the base, and some people having issues with their spinner. Now, I haven't had those problems per se, but it's well known that I've been making products for a while, and we'll be looking at today installing my Tron joystick, but this will be the disc of Tron joystick, which has dual buttons on it, and the GRS disc of Tron push-pull spinner. Now, of course, these have been out long before this cabinet came out, and I wasn't really sure how compatible it was going to be. So a few people on the YouTube channels and Facebook groups actually went together and well, bought this for me. I wasn't planning on buying it because that $600 was a little rich for me at the moment. I may have picked it up later on down the road when it got cheaper, but the guys really wanted to make sure that this was my stuff was compatible with it, because there's been so many issues with Tron sticks breaking and spinners not working. They wanted to have another way to get some quality items to work inside the machine. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, GRS products in your Arcade1UP TRON. Let's get started. Okay, here's the Arcade1UP unit, obviously right here, and here's the one I built 2.5 years ago. I want to say it was like June 2018 when I built this unit here with my controls. And you can see they look fairly good compared to one another as far as the lighting. I see they borrowed my lighting effect I did on the Tron joystick here. But you can get a pretty good visualization right now. If I press this down, I press mine down. So it's just a little more arcade accurate with how it responds. It shouldn't be so bouncy. But you can get an idea again of how that they go. But we need to get this inside here, so that's what we're going to take a look at today. I can't take away from the cabinet design. They did a really beautiful design with the cabinet and the black light artwork in here. But well, let's go see what we could do and get the GRS stuff inside the Arcade1UP. Okay, let's take a look at the controls themselves. I think they did a fairly nice job here. The joystick has a good size to it, has good clicky buttons on it. The trigger The trigger itself, though, feels a little too hard to press and doesn't click back as quick as I would like. It's like it delays how fast you can shoot. The top button, again, it's okay. You know, it is illuminated. Now, the spinner itself here, I do like that they use the black light sensitive coloring on it. But if you notice, when you pull it up, you know, it continues to spring. It's very bouncy. Press down. I really shouldn't do that. I mean, the spin itself is okay. It's decent. It's not bad. But this part makes it doesn't feel very arcade-ish. It seems very cheapish. But the rest of the buttons seem okay. So let's go take a look quickly at what I have in my unit. Here's the Tron unit I built a few years ago using my Tron joystick that I've had out now for about 2.5 years now. So this cabinet's about 2.5, 3 years old at this point. And I replaced my original Tron joystick with my Disassembly Tron joystick. You can see right here. It does have the additional button here, illuminate. But my trigger button is clicky, but it responds much faster than the one in the Arcade1UP unit. And here is my spinner now. This is now my push-pull spinner. When I first built this, it was just my standard version 2 spinner, which I replaced with a USB spinner and now replaced with a push-pull. And you can see my spinning is a lot smoother, a lot faster, and also if you pull up, there's no bounce. It goes back to its original position. Press down, there's no bouncing back and forth. It goes right up because it's built with a little more robustness to it. But so we're going to look at putting my USB spinner and my Tron joystick into the Arcade1UP unit. Again, the controls in the Arcade1UP are not bad, so let's see what we can do here. Here are two of my current products. Here we have the GRS push-pull spinner, which we use for Discs of Tron. It's basically our USB spinner with the ability to pull up and push down for your Discs of Tron goodness. We'll put that aside for a second. Here is my Tron joystick. Now this Tron joystick first came out in June of 2018, so I've had this on the market for quite a few years. And this is just to show you the master kit. You probably won't need all this stuff, but this is what you generally would get. You get, of course, your instruction manual on how to set everything up. And here is my original Tron joystick. And again, this has been on the market since about June of 2018. Now we had this thing prototyped about 3 years ago. And the key part here is our interlocking design. And you can see here is our base unit. This is the base unit that we've come out with. This is a patented design. And the reason we did it like this is when you're playing, say, Tron, I'll put this thing through here real quick. There we go. It's designed so you can put this thing through, put the joystick in, and then you come down here and you twist and lock this in place, right? This way now you can play Tron just the way you like it, right? Play some Tron. But what if you don't want to play Tron anymore? So you want to be able to do is use a regular joystick. So we would twist this out like so, and you could put in other joysticks. So we included a regular ball top. You can lock this in place like so, and now you have a regular joystick, and it's a really good spring action on it. So we designed it so you can use other types of joysticks. This was a nice patented design that we did here, so you're allowed to do that. So we'll take this thing out. So hopefully this all is going to fit inside the new Arcade1UP Tron. But I'm going to put this aside for a second because my original joystick was built for Tron. It doesn't have any additional buttons on it. So we've come out with the Discs of Tron one. Still got the same joystick, lights up. You now have the deflector button. So we've added that button to it. So we're going to see if we can get this little guy here to fit inside the Arcade1UP. I'm going to put all this stuff again aside for a second. And we'll take a quick look at my push-pull spinner. This is available right now. And put these things aside. And basically the buttonhole spinner, just like so, it's small. So you just unlock this little nut. Take the nut off. And what's good about this spinner is it is small, it would fit in a standard buttonhole for a regular, fire button. It's got the spinning, but it's also got, you can pull and push. It has 2 additional buttons on here that would be like a left and right mouse click. And then we have the arcade accurate spinner top. Now you can still use the version original Tron spinner, we offer that as well. But this is what the Tron would have come with, that type of spinner top. But again, we have the other one available. And that's it, you of course pull and push down. And we do include additional buttons on there if you wanted to use that. And we have our wiring harness. Now what's different about this one is, in testing with Kongs or us and Brad, a few other people, the push-pull spinner seems to work on the USB port, but the pushing and pulling were physical buttons versus mouse clicks. So we'll be testing this little board out here. This little board, an interface board, we're going to test. There we go. And this should interpret my up and down mouse click, which is left and right mouse click, and convert them into buttons that the Tron from Arcade1UP will understand and make everything work okay. So this is going to be kind of a testing for all of us. So I'm going to put that down here. I want to pull this thing aside for a moment. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is actually take this out. So I'm going to shut this off. So we'll hit the power button on here. Let it do its shutdown sequence. And it's kind of weird. There's been quite a few times where I turn this thing on where the light comes on down here and the stick turns on, but the marquee never turns on and the machine never actually boots.
Bring in the logic
sure
probe!
It's a little concerning though when you're turning it on and it doesn't boot up. But we said it 2 or 3 times and eventually it does turn on. So I haven't screwed this thing in yet, so we should be able to just lift this thing right up and take it out. I want to be careful of this plexiglass here. And I just want to make sure I push against the side a little bit because I don't want to scratch the artwork and getting this out. Do it like this, perhaps. There we go. And then we have 2 cables we need to disconnect under here. Actually, there's a lot more than 2 cables, but let's see if we can get this thing out. There's 1. There's 2. Try and keep these semi-accessible. All right, so we got the actual control panel out. And again, not too bad. We'll take a side view of the stick. This button here it's kind of laggy. I don't mean laggy as far as when you press it laggy, but when you release, it's not very springy. It's clicky, but it limits how quickly you can press on it, and it takes a lot of pressure to do so. With the back button, is a lot easier. And again, we'll take a look at the spinner here a little closer so you can kind of see that action I was talking about. I mean, it works. It's definitely a little bit on the mushy side. Again, they do have a plexiglass overlay here, which they had to make a really large hole here to go over the joystick to put down, which kind of stinks because I don't know how well the artwork will last there. In any case, let's get into the bottom of this and kind of see what we have. And let's just take a quick little comparison, I guess, with my stick. So here's the Arcade1UP one, and here's mine. And you can see when you press on this, and you press on mine, I'll get over here. It's a little bit lighter feel, less strain on your finger, and it responds a lot quicker. And of course we have the deflect button on the back, and we have our 3 wires down here, 1 for light, 1 for the first trigger, 1 for the second trigger. And you can see our custom connector we have here on the joystick, because we designed our joystick so if you want to play with the Tron joystick, it goes inside the mount, but it's removable, so you're able to pull this out and put it in a regular joystick. Okay, with your GRS Tron joystick, you may want to do things other than just play Tron. So that's where we have our enhancement kit available. You do get the Tron joystick and the ball top with the initial kit, but we also offer a bat top as well. But you can see we have a custom connector here on all of our units. So when you want to play Tron, you just put this through like so. Slide it through the grooves, like so. Come down here, twist, turn, till it locks in place. Here we go. And now you have Tron joystick. You want to change it, twist and turn, unlock that, insert your new stick. Now you have a really good joystick. Good spring action. Want to change it again? Twist, unlock. Put in your back top. Twist and turn. Now you have your back top. Want to take this one out? Same thing. Twist, turn, out you go. Okay, so we need to get inside this unit here, and in typical fashion they include a plastic cover, which is kind of nice that they do put here, because you don't want people going in here and breaking anything. So we're just going to take out these screws. Okay, now let's get the cover off. Okay, we can see their control board, their incredibly large spinner. I mean, man, that's massive. And look at that. This looks eerily similar to my joystick here. We'll have to take a look more at this because I want to take a closer look at their joystick here, because that looks awfully similar to our patented joystick we have here. Okay, well, let's take a closer look at this whole control board. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this, but we need to get this little cable out of the way here. This is the wiring all tied up, which looks nice, but we need to carefully cut this off. There we go. Okay, so we see out of our joystick right here, got to follow all these lovely wires. We have this one here, which says going to X. And we have a blue one going to Y. I assume that's the two trigger buttons. And then this one right here is the LED. Okay. The wires are so fun. Alright, let's see if we can get this out of the LED one. Okay, the LED one came out okay. Now I'm not really sure which is the X versus the Y. I'm assuming
I've got a little challenge for you.
the X might be your trigger, and then the Y would be your secondary button. That's just a guess. Carefully pull these things out here, because these things are known to be a little delicate. I won't break them, that's for sure. Doesn't want to seem to come out. So you've got to be very careful with these. There we go. Come on, there we go. Okay. So we got all our buttons removed here. Now it looks like their LED is a smaller connector than what we would use, so I might have to do some modifications for the LED. And then what do we have here? Okay, then we have all of our joysticks. I don't think we need to disconnect this, because I'm looking at this and this really looks an awful lot like mine. I'm just going to pull this off for a second here. I'm wondering if this thing will just Okay, so this is interesting. If I get this thing to turn. Okay, that is very interesting. Okay, that's quite interesting. That connector looks pretty identical to my connector. You can see that the joystick is a little bit larger than mine. But this connector here, I'm not sure why they're using that, because this is a connector we came up with, and the reason we came up with this was in your multicades you can use, we have a ball top and a bat top as well, and that looks like it might be a direct fit. So this is my ball top here. Oh, look at that.
Mamma mia!
It's a perfect fit for my joystick. That's quite interesting that that would work, because there's no reason to have this base in there. This is our patented base. There's no reason to have this base in there because we designed it so you can either use a Tron joystick for your games or swap it out for regular games like fighting games. It's kind of interesting that that's such a perfect fit and has a twist lock mechanism that wouldn't be needed, honestly. Interesting. Okay, well, let's see if my actual Tron joystick fits in here. Make sure I put in, that should be the front of the unit, so this should go in this way. Turn this thing upside down a little bit because these wires are never easy to push through. You can take a look at that connector in there with the metal pieces, which is what we use to interlock. You can see right there on ours. Interesting. Put this down like this. This is always a hard part, trying to get it through the holes. There we go. Well, that went in nice. Let's see if it locks. Would you look at that? Very interesting. Well, it looks like it looks like my joystick will work right in their base. It's kind of interesting. Okay, well, and I might have to extend these. These may not be long enough, so we have our LED and these. So I'm gonna have to probably lengthen these to make it work. But I'm gonna take that off camera to lengthen these. So I'll be back. Okay, since the GRS Tron stick wires are a little bit short, I just made some extension cables. Very easy to do. Just some JTS extenders I'm going to put on here and we'll connect these up. So this is going to be the LEDs. That's a special connector on one side. It's a smaller JTS, which I should have here somewhere. I made 3 of these. That's a small one there. So this will go over here into the LED, just like so. You should put it in the right way, of course. Gotta be very careful with these Arcade1UP boards. These are very thin, single layer boards and very robust. You definitely don't want it to crack just trying to put these things in. There we go. So this will be for my LED. I had to convert it from a larger JTS to a smaller JTS. But the other two are straightforward, so just going to kick these guys in here. This is my deflector button, which is this blue one here. So I'm going to take this wire. Again, this is just a prototype, pretty much, these wires. I just literally just went in the basement and made them. And I'm going to guess that that will be the Y button. Not 100% sure. I guess we'll find out when we start playing. That's going to go in there. And then our last connector we need to do is our primary trigger, which I'm going to guess is going to be our X. And if it's wrong, we can swap it around very, very easily. So these are things we can, clean up and get out of the way without any really big problem. But for right now, it's going to lean these over here. And you can see my joystick seems to connect perfectly into this cloned connector here. The best way I can describe it right now. Next thing we need to take a look at their spinner. Now my spinner, again, we can have 2 different, actually it's really 3 different tops. The one it comes with is going to be this one here, which is what the Disc of Tron Arcade had. It's their push-pull unit in black. We might offer it in silver as well. That's this one right here. But a lot of people would probably want to keep this one on here, which is for my standard. This is my standard USB spinner. It's not the push-pull, but the shaft is the same. So you can buy this on Amazon and it would work just fine with the push-pull. And we'll put this one on probably for now, just to make sure it looks as closely as it can be with the Arcade1UP Tron. So the difference is that they're connecting here to their board over here, which I'm assuming is using just a serial type of connection for it. We're going to be changing that a little bit. So we have this here, which is for the actual optical spinner, and then you have, I assume, the push maybe or pull on this side, and then the push pulls on this side. So we're going to put our spinner in here. But the spinner is actually going to connect to the main board USB port. Kongs or Russ and Brad kind of confirmed already that my spinner does connect and work in that. And then we will use my special daughter board, which we designed to try and simulate push-pull from the mouse clicks, which is this guy here. So we'll interpret this wire and go into this board through this board. And hopefully everything will work. No idea. First time we're trying it out. So let me get this thing out and see how we can mount the new one. So the first thing I need to do, and that's, I'm assuming, why the holes are so large on the underside. Let's see where this one goes here. This one is A, so brown is A. Again, trying to get it out without breaking anything. There we go. That's our A. And then that's our B, and there is no C. So this is your push and pull. I'm not really sure which one is which. I guess we'll figure that out, assuming everything works as it should. This wire here is going to here, which is for the spinner, and this is not going to be used, so we're just going to take that out best I can. There we go. So everything's disconnected as far as the stock spinner goes. Again, the spinner is not horrible, it works, but some people have complained that theirs stopped working. So we're going to take this out. Looks like there's 4 screws. So get these screws out of here. Again, you want to be careful with this wood. You don't want it to strip. Just take our time loosening these screws, and hopefully the spinner will come right out. I know in other units that they've had, they've used glue to also hold it in place, like their trackballs, which makes repairing it a little bit of a pain. But we'll see how this goes here. That's 2 out. Here's number 3. And we have 1 more, I'm hoping, and will be it. Okay, theoretically, I think that's it. It does feel like it might be glued in again, I'm not sure. Okay, when applying, must use glue. Put this screw there. Kind of a little pressure. That's definitely either glued down or there's more screws I'm not aware of. So let me see if I can see it from another angle. It looks like they do have glue in here, and I just had a little, the cracking of the glue, which is, there we go. So they did use some glue in here. I don't really know why it's necessary with the screws, but that's what they did. Nothing's breaking. The cracking you're hearing is just the glue separating. There we go. Kind of silly because their parts tend to break, and that's making it harder for you guys to repair and fix these devices. It should just lift out. Let's see. Yeah, it's just the glue. I can see the glue that they used under the screws. Like right here, there we go. Freed that one. Freed that one. Oh my god. Freed the glue from that side. There's one over here. There we go. And there we go. So we got that to pull out. They used just a little glue, but it was just hard enough to where you don't want to take a chance of breaking nothing. But there's their spinner. And we should be able to just lift this completely out of the way. There we go. So it doesn't look bad. I mean, I definitely like the luminescent decal that's on there. You could say it doesn't do as much out here as it's sprung inside the machine, which is kind of good, I guess. Not bad. So what we need to do is get my spinner to fit inside here. And what I've done in the past is using things like this to try and make my buttonhole, which would normally fit inside here. That's what it's really designed for. It would just, you pop these out and put my push-pull spinner in there. You can see how much larger this hole is. This might even be too small, to be honest. Look from the other side. It's close, but it still is a little bit on the small side. So I might want to reprint it. I'm not quite sure. That's kind of how it'd be something along these lines here that I would use to hold it in. Something like that. Okay, so we've confirmed now that Arcade1UP is using a joystick housing here that's, well, extremely, how we say, similar to my joystick that's been out for a few years. And that's good for you, the consumer, because we can just sell you the actual joystick itself, replacement Tron joystick itself, versus having to sell you the whole base unit. So that would be some savings for you guys. So it's arcade quality and a little bit of a cheaper price for you guys, so that's okay. So that's the good thing. And you know, we mark our wires. We have here, this is the trigger button, and the blue trigger button goes into your Y, and then the deflector button will go into your X. And then obviously the last one is your 5 volts, which will go over to your 5 volt input, which is going to be over here, the LED. So very easy, just going to be twist, turn, which again is very similar to ours. And so that shouldn't be too difficult for people to swap out if it does in fact break. The next thing we have to do though is the spinner. Now the spinner, once again, like the Star Wars yoke, you know, it's all plastic for the most, well, it's some metal, but it's, you know, mostly plastic. But it gets the job done. I mean, it spins, it pushes, it pulls, it gets the job done, and you know, it really wasn't bad. And I really do like the decal they have on here. This blacklight decal really does pop and shine, and that looks really, really good. So again, unless it breaks, you'll probably be fine with it. But if it does break, and you do want to go with something a little bit better, we do have our push-pull spinner here. And again, there's 3 different tops. This is the primary top that would come with the unit, because that's what came with this of Tron. But we also may offer it in, you know, the silver color. Currently we only sell it in the black. But if both of these are not quite what you want, and you want to look like the original, we do offer the original looking spinner top, which is compatible with my standard spinner or the push-pull spinner. But the thing is, now we need to get mine working in here. Now mine is designed for USB, and that's what this connector is going to be here for USB. The small connector here is for 2 push buttons, but when you press, it's actually a mouse click. This is a left mouse click and then a right mouse click. It's not actual button presses, and that's what they're using here. These 2 ports right here are your 2 push buttons right there. So we needed to make this compatible with that, because it just was not going to work. And what we came up with was just a small board. It's a tiny little board here. Let's grab it up for a second. This guy right here. And it just interprets the left and right mouse click of my spinner and turns it into a regular push button. So it's not too much, not too crazy. And the installation here is not going to be difficult at all. We have a wiring harness. And I apologize, I don't have a lot of space here. You know, the basement was flooded and it's a mess. So I am really limited in space. So I'll try and do this the best I can. But the wiring harness is pretty easy to do and set up. So we have here, we have the pull up marked. This one's pull up. This one is push down. And then we have the main connector here, which connects to the board. And these 2 which connect to my spinner. So what we'll do first is we'll go with the pull up. And pull up's going to go into your A. So to go over here, put pull up into A. Now be very careful, because these boards are very thin boards and they can break. And then the push down, I'm going to put into this one right here, like so. There we go. Push up, pull down. It's up, getting pretty much done. Now this part here is going to connect to the board. You can't get it wrong. There's only 2 sizes and it will not fit in the other one. That's going to go in just like that. Now the next part we need to do is actually get a way to mount this. As you can see, it's quite a big hole into what they had here. Now what I've done in the past is to put my push-pull spinner here in like a regular Arcade1UP you know, size, like an Asteroids. I made this kind of 3D printed mount to make it fit. But even that is not going to be big enough. You can see how big this hole is. So careful with the other one here. This one's not perfect, but it should get the job done. It'll fit in here either like this or however I want to do it. Still got a gap, but it might not look too bad. I might have some light coming around it, which I'm not sure if it's going to be good or bad, but again, just for right now as a test, that should work. So I'm going to take this spinner, and I'm just going to insert it into here. I have to twist it in a little bit because it is a tight fit. You don't want it to be loose. I'll just continue that around. Just like that. So it's now in. And when I did design it with these holes here. I'm toying with the idea of using maybe a translucent or like a blue translucent color and putting some LEDs in there and have the LEDs kind of light up the spinner and around the spinner.
Excellent!
Again, that's not going to be in this video. Maybe that'll be a future video.
Bogus!
But I did put the possibility there to do so. So that would just go like this, and then this will go in right like this. Now I'm going to have to drill some holes carefully into the base to make this fit the right way. So just give me a minute while I actually get that mounted. But once I do, it's just going to be really connecting these two little cables here to my spinner. You see there's a small one and a larger one. And then the last stage will be just connecting the USB to the back of the Arcade1UP board's USB port. And then we really should be able to go. So I'll be back in a minute. I got to make some holes, and we will continue from there.
1 hour later.
Okay, so we can see that my Tron stick fortunately seems to fit right into the Arcade1UP joystick housing here. So we'll be able to sell just the stick itself. We'll be able just to sell, just the stick itself, and not have to sell the entire kit, which I guess is good for the consumer. A better value for you guys. You don't have to purchase things you don't need, and as long as the actual controller mechanism here on the bottom is okay, you can just swap out the broken stick for our stick. But if this does go bad, again, since it looks like it's completely compatible with the GRS Tron joystick, it should go in. Even all the screw holes appear to be identical on the unit there, so that should be easy to swap out if the controller does go bad. Now I've made some extensions here. We'll obviously make these available. Just really extending these shorter cables I have here. It probably won't be this long, but just a prototype I made to connect them into the A and B buttons here and the LED for the lighting of the Tron stick. Now the other thing we have here obviously is the large hole from the old spinner. And the old spinner is really not bad. Once again, like the Star Wars unit that came before the Tron unit, the yoke that was in the Star Wars unit wasn't bad. Some people had it break, yes, but overall it's fine. If there's no problem, you don't need to replace it, but if you did, mine was available. Now their stick and spinner are not bad. Again, people have having problems with these breaking and the Tron joystick breaking, so that's where I'm coming in, I guess, to play. Now this is an analog style of spinner, but it's the springiness. So it's really not a bad spinner, but it is what it is, right? But I do like the black light artwork on here. That is really nice. But again, it gets the job done, which is all we really care about. So we've had out for a little while now. My spinner here. Now, when you purchased my spinner, I don't have a lot of room here. Again, my basement is history for the most part. So we have the spinner here, and you would connect it via USB. So we have the USB cable that would connect in down here. And then we had this little connector here for buttons, but the buttons were mouse buttons. So it was a mouse click, not actual buttons. So we need to make something different. So that's where this little guy comes in here. This little board from us will convert our up and down, which was a left and right mouse click, into actual physical buttons. And installing it is very, very easy. So I'm going to show you that right now. So we have a wiring harness. Again, this one might be a little bit longer, but it's fairly easy to connect. So, okay, I've already mounted my 4 screws in there. That should be nice and tight. Just going to put my retainer ring on here just to hold this in place, although it shouldn't really go anywhere, but you never know. Okay, once that's done, we go back to our wiring and try and get it untangled from everything else. How in the world does that happen? There we go. So we have our little micro connector here. That's going to go in here, which would normally have been for mouse depresses. I'll put that in here. Make sure we get the orientation correct, like so. And then we're going to connect our primary right here. Make sure it goes in that way as well. And that's it. Now it's really putting it back into the machine. I already have a cable going to the USB port on the back of the Arcade1UP. I use a USB A to B extender cable. Actually, it's a USB A to A extender cable, if I'm being correct about that. So let's go put this back into the machine now. Okay, here is the Tron unit. It's been modded now. It's got the Glenn's Retro Show Tron joystick installed in here with the deflector button installed. It's got the lighting working. And we have the GRS discs of Tron push-pull spinner installed. It's got the stock spinner on here right now that looks like a disc from the arcade machine. Press down, you can see the menu goes down. Pull up, and it goes up. Now, again, this is the stock top on here. In addition to the black one there, we do have other ones. We have the silver one right here, which could go on there as well if you wanted to use that. And we have on Amazon the original spinner top. Now this one does not have the special ink on here to be fluorescent, so it would not glow like the original one in the machine. Okay, the best part after doing the modification is actually playing the game. So let's get started on that. Let's try the regular Tron first. A little loud, let's keep it down a little bit. There we go. This is where I feel my stick is better with the quick trigger pulls over the original. Am I going to get it? I just did. Okay, so we tried all the levels with the GRS Tron stick and spinner. Let's try some with some push and pull action. So go down to Discs of Tron and try that out. Oh! Now we get to try the push-pull spinner part of the discs of Tron GRS spinner. not bad program, but it is end of line. Okay, so not bad at all. Okay, everyone, well that's it. The Tron from Arcade1UP is an absolutely beautiful cabinet. I cannot stress that enough. If you purchase any of them just for looks alone, this one is going to totally steal the show. And it is a fun game, Tron and Disassembly Tron. Now I know a lot of people have been experiencing the Arcade1UP joystick breaking down here at the shaft, which is unfortunate. It's a nice looking joystick. I'm not a fan of their trigger. It's way too stiff, in my opinion. But, you know, it's not bad. It's like the Star Wars joke. It's a pretty nice joystick. I think Scott over at Arcade1UP did a nice job. But if the joystick does break, we have the GRS Tron joystick or the Disassembly Tron joystick. We have both. This is the older model without the extra button on it. This one is obviously the one with the button on it. And in the 3 years we were manufacturing this design, not one is broken. So that's good. We use an industrial plastic here, and our metal shaft goes up quite a bit into the stick, and it holds fairly well. And if you need a new push-pull spinner, if theirs is no longer working, you don't like how it feels, the GRS push-pull spinner will work. It does require a separate daughter board. Now that we know that it's working properly, we can start manufacturing those as well. But that's it. I mean, I love Tron. I built this back in 2018 with my original Tron stick. I've since upgraded it with the Disassembly Tron joystick and push-pull spinner. And these have been selling very well. We've had these on the market for a couple of years now. And it's really good that it will work with the Arcade1UP. If you're having some problems with your stick breaking, and you can't get one from them, I know their supply issues. Ours should be available on Amazon relatively shortly. And again, the Disassembly Tron push-pull spinner has been on the market for quite some time. And the enhancement board to make it work as a push-pull will be coming soon. So that's it. I do want to thank Arcade1UP for building such a beautiful cabinet, and Scott as well. Did a fantastic job. And once again, if you're having a problem, just go onto Amazon, look up Glenn's Retro Show products, or visit me on my website at www.glensretroshow.com. I once again appreciate all of your time in watching these videos. The one thing I did notice on this one, and I'm not sure if you guys have experienced it well, leave a comment down below. There's been quite a few times when just powering on this particular machine, I get just the light down here and nothing else turns on. You got to try like 4 or 5 times, and eventually it comes on and it works okay. Just want to know if you're experiencing that as well. That's really it for today's episode. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and no matter what game you play, make sure you tell your family and friends that you love them, and remember, game on.
End of line.
Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.